Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. It's 2 o'clock. It's Thursday, and welcome to our LinkedIn Live webinar today. We'll be talking about efficiency in payments. My name's Chris. I'm the founder of Tech on Toast, and today we'll be joined by Modular and Williams Stanley. Let me talk you a little bit through what we're going to get from today. The whole point of today is really to talk about understanding what hospitality business is, because we are very unique in terms of how we manage our payments, both in complexity and in volume, understanding how we can do things more efficiently. We're going to understand the crucial nature of updating payment processes in the industry like hospitality. We're going to learn how to integrate Modular's automated payment solutions so we can reduce some human errors, get more efficient in our operations, and basically enhance our compliance as well financially, because sometimes that can go astray when we're not doing things efficiently. And mainly, we're going to discover how to use technology to improve the efficiency of payments. I was just talking off air. Payments are becoming more and more of a conversation with Tech on Toast with some of our partners. So it's really interesting. So dealing with payroll complexities, frequent payment cycles, or kind of multi-company operations that we end up doing. And joining me today to talk, we have two illustrious guests. First from Modular, we've got Kuba Zamuda, Director of Strategy. I hope I pronounced that right, Kuba.
Perfect, Chris. Great to see you, everybody.
And also joining us, we have Xander Cullum, Director at Williams Stanley. Xander, welcome. How are you?
Hi, guys. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
Welcome to LinkedIn. I think we have a lot of people watching, so I will crack on. Guys, before we get into anything, can you just tell me a little about you guys and kind of what you do and what your company's doing? We'll start with you, Kuba.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. Hi, everyone. My name's Kuba. I'm Director of Strategy at Modular and part of the founding team. So Modular is a 8-year-old business, and we are specialists in payments. We're employ now about 450 people across the company, across London, Edinburgh, Amsterdam, and Mumbai. And our particular focus is embedding payments. Now, embedding simply means making payments part of the day-to-day workflows of a business. And we do that in two ways today. So we've built a digital-first business payments account, which we deeply integrate into the day-to-day tools that any business needs to run and operate. Starting both with accounting and payroll software. So we are deeply integrated into Xero, Sage, and BrightPay to help businesses automate all the day-to-day payment process activity that they have. We also built a specialist set of tool sets for accounting partners to help them help busy MDs and operators to run and operate their functions. Our second part of our business is focused on specialist and complex payment flows in specific industries such as travel, marketplaces, lending, and investment and wealth firms. In aggregate today, we serve thousands of businesses across both UK and Europe, processing circa £100 billion of volume on an annualized basis across 200 million transactions. So that's a quick intro to us and what we do.
Sounds a lot. Lovely. Thanks, Kuba. Sounds like you're busy. And Xander, please tell us a bit about yourself and Williams Stanley.
Cool. So Williams Stanley is an accountancy firm, and we specialise in providing hospitality advice. And we kind of cover all areas of the accountancy journey. So whether that be providing basic bookkeeping, up to right the way up to providing some consulting FD services and tax work and payroll. And what we're really proud of is that we largely operate within the hospitality sector, and this allows us to specialise within it, so we can really focus on the needs of our clients. As we all know, hospitality has many challenges, so we can help our clients meet them in the most effective manner.
No, I love it. I think it's such a crucial thing. I was just talking off air to you guys about some insight I saw this morning around payments and how it's sitting in the top 2 or 3 challenges that operators are facing. And it brings me quite nicely onto my first question about accuracy and efficiency. It's kind of vital, isn't it, for hospitality businesses to avoid fraud, error, that kind of thing that can not just damage internal books, but also damage reputation. I'll start with you, Kuba. How is Modular enhancing that accuracy and efficiency of payment processes? What are you kind of helping, and what specific areas are you seeing?
Yeah, that's really at the core of what we're trying to do with Modular when we started the business and building out the solution set we have. And one way we're approaching this particular area is by integrating so deeply into core accounting and payroll systems. So we remove all of the manual intervention you typically have when you're managing the books or you're managing the workflows within your company, that's approving invoices, approving payroll activity. And then it breaks where you have to download information into manual spreadsheets or sometimes even type it into your banking interface to make sure that you can actually make those transactions. So we remove all of that by making the connecting the payments and the account directly into your accounting and bookkeeping software to remove all of that activity and hopefully remove all of those problems and challenges. That's our intent, and our partners such as Xander and Williams Stanley then use that to leverage as part of the process.
I'm guessing, Xander, you actually see those errors cropping up all the time in businesses you look after, or not necessarily once they've got Modular, but before you get to that point where you first meet your clients. Are you seeing those errors regularly?
Yeah, I think that it's everyone's biggest stress that you one fat finger mistake leads to a several £1,000 payment that's gone awry, or bounces, or isn't incorrect. So I think where Modular is particularly useful and why we use it as a kind of key toolkit as part of the onboarding process for all of our clients. So when you're onboarded with Williams Stanley, we ensure that you kind of come onto Modular, is because of that automation link with the ERP and particularly with Xero. So what that means is that the bank details are already pre-populated within Xero, so that every time when you do a batch upload, you don't have to put in the 6-digit sort code, then 8 digits, or is it a 9-digit? And that basically vastly reduces the time and the stress in terms of uploading it. And what you therefore have as well is the banking checks that this is a verified account as well.
Yeah, it's crucial, isn't it? And I think you don't think of all those when you're operating or when you're running a restaurant or a larger business. You actually don't think of those things crop up and you kind of react to them. I think one of the questions I was going to ask about was payment cycles, because you can either do bi-weekly, or whether you're doing bi-weekly, weekly wage, or ad hoc payments. How can you impact, I suppose, the management of a complex payment cycle for people who run restaurants? And I'll start with you, Kuba.
Well, I think the core of what we do is, because the integration is always instantaneous, once transactions are approved, they automatically sync into our software. And one thing we do is remove the payment activity from the traditional BACS rails, where if you think about how banks today process a lot of the business transactions as part of fulfilling them via BACS, we connect to faster payments directly, and we enable our accounts to process straight into the faster payment network through our direct connectivity through the Bank of England and settlement accounts we hold at the bank. Meaning that once we receive a good instruction, it reaches its point of approval and the date for which it needs to be processed, it automatically goes out and it's instantaneous, which allows the time between when the transaction is completed, set up, to when it's actually made to be really short, effectively seconds, allowing the business process to run up all the way to the last minute before you actually have to make that payment. And that's really at the core of what we've been building with Modular.
Yeah, Xander, it kind of matches the nature of our business, right? When I say our hospitality, it kind of matches the nature of that reactive need that we're very busy, right? We're on the go, and being able to kind of make that decision right at the final moment is crucial, I presume.
Yeah, I think where hospitality is perhaps different from other businesses is that it is very, very fast-paced and reactive, as you said. Typically, this is an industry that operates on quite tight margins, as we all know that have been squeezed with macroeconomic effects over the last couple of years. So cash flow is very tight. Also, consumer behavior at the moment is quite erratic and is less stable than what we saw previously. So what that manifests itself is that directors of businesses, particularly kind of smaller chains who perhaps don't have the cash reserves, suddenly needing to make urgent payments to suppliers, either to release more money, or a classic example that we see regularly is for casual labor. So you've got a big booking coming in tonight for 10 people. Your waiter's sick. We need to pay a flexible operator such as Indeed or someone like that urgently. Previously, what would happen is you would ring up your bookkeeper and be like, oh, we need to make a payment to this person. They'd then open up their little dongle, log into HSBC, try and do that. And then the payment will land. Oh, no, it's after 5 p.m. The payment's going to land on Monday. Oh, tell Indeed that it's landed on Monday. Indeed will come back to you and say, oh, sorry, this person's not going to turn up to the shift now. Okay, what we have to do now is a credit card payment and then go after a refund on Monday for the duplicate payment that we've got. What we can do on Modular is, because, as Kuba mentioned, it's all automated is we can just upload the invoice code it for payment, and then it will appear on Modular. So we can just load the funds instantly and then process the payment out. And that reduces a lot of the noise with suppliers. And then from my team's perspective, and then the financial control, in these high stress environments where you have directors kind of on the phone going, we're not going to be able to open tonight, we can't fulfill this order. You've actually managed to take all the stress out of the situation and not risking a junior member kind of just paying the wrong company or paying too much. Those levels of control are all there and are transparent.
Yeah, it's really limiting risk, isn't it? And I think and the nature of that efficiency. I always say with tech, if you're going to put anything in, you've got to kind of find a good ROI, and the ROI here really is that efficiency piece and the protection of your business. I think it's crucial. And restaurants and pubs manage both payroll, tronc. How does Williams Stanley? How do you leverage Modular's flexibility, I suppose, in the payment cycles to manage the unique payment? And you've covered a bit of it there, but the unique payment needs of a restaurant business, for particularly over payroll and tronc.
Yeah, I think the key issue with paying out payroll, and you'll be covered off, restaurants typically have multi-payroll cycles. For example, you've got some employees perhaps on weekly pay, some on fortnightly, some on 4 weekly, some on monthly. And that level of complexity means that with a traditional banking platform, you can't pay someone out £2,000 every month on the 30th of the month. So that can't be kind of set as a direct debit because they might work different hours, or they might have hours that then need tronc adding onto it. So what we're seeing is most of the payments to employees will change every single time, just by a small amount, but they will be changing every single time. So what that means is you need to be able to upload accurate figures to a banking platform very easily and quickly, so that those numbers can change each time, and you're not having to, again, go through and code in manually how it works. It also helps from a cash flow basis because you can have them all loaded and then you can see them sat in one place. So you can see that 15 grand is going to go out the bank. And that just gives the extra level of kind of checking that this was in line with what people are expecting to see in terms of wages.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Kuba, did you want to add something there?
No, I think Xander perfectly explains the value in terms of the last minute adjustments and managing the payroll very tightly, and that fat fingering, mistyping, and removing all that stress, I think is quite crucial. Perhaps with the only other thing I would just mention is the mobile app, which then allows the operators on the floor to actually approve it on the go when they choose to do that, versus needing to be in front of a computer or at a desk, especially when things are always busy in hospitality on a 24/7 basis.
And is it the same then for a last minute payment? So if Modular, the capability that you explained there, so if there's a last minute payment that I think you explained there, like when the fact that you might want to change something at the very last moment, but you're unable to do that, right? You can still do that through Modular because you haven't got to worry about, as you say, getting hold of the accountant, getting hold of the bookkeeper, maybe a junior manager managing that payment. So it's still possible to do, if I understand rightly, that you can go and do an amendment right at the last moment. Sorry, that was
if I take that one.
Yeah, sure.
No. What we would see is that there's a final approval, and as you mentioned, that can be on phone. So what you would look, say let's just take the example of an ops director who's signing off the weekly payment list, and we've got a cutlery payment going out to someone for £4,000. If they look at their phone, which would list out all the payments that have previously been agreed and loaded. If they decide, no, don't want to pay that one, they can just click reject, and then that will be removed. If it wanted it to be reduced, they could just reject it, drop a note and say, can you change it to 3,500? And then we can just re-upload it very quickly in 3,500. That's the beauty, is the upload is so quick that the cancellation and upload would appear as a change, but it wouldn't be directly changed. And what this means is that you have a separation of control, so the ops director can't manually overtype, actually, I want to pay them 15 grand because this was my mate's company.
Yes, so they have that seems a good idea.
So they can just do yes or no, and then the changes then go back through the normal workflow controls.
And is it quite a common problem then, or has it been a common problem prior to using this kind of technology, where operators would make that kind of error?
I think that the previous errors that you often see are the changing of minds. So typically, one of the reasons that I love the hospitality sector is there's some fantastic entrepreneurs who operate in it and have brilliant ideas and are always looking for bigger and better things. And I love it because then they're opening new restaurants, new plans. Fortunately for my business in particular, they're maybe not as money savvy as they would be, hence why they come and use us. So what that means is you often see a change of heart. So they might, at the beginning of the week, have been, we're going to go full guns blazing on this opening. When it actually comes to it on the Friday and they see the money in the bank that's about to go out, they can then go, no. With Modular, it's really clear that they can reject it, and it doesn't then scupper up kind of the whole backs file that you've created and spent weeks kind of manually coding in, and you've sent remittances out. It's much easier to do that. And I think, that change of heart is what we see as the most common point, rather than traditionally with a backs file upload, that's 7 o'clock. Oh, we can't possibly pay 25 grand today, make it less. Whereas in Modular, they'll go, oh, we are not going to pay this item. I can see it very clearly. It will be down to 22K, something like that.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And I think the emotional nature of our business sometimes that we tend to do, not knee-jerk, but we are reactive. And I think you mentioned entrepreneurial there. And obviously, we're at a meeting in Manchester this morning to talk about growth in the Northwest and how it was superseding London's growth at the moment in terms of hospitality businesses. But that all requires cash flow, right? And the management of cash flow. And I suppose for you, sorry, Xander, again. But
no, this is fine.
How does Modular give you kind of that access to I suppose it's about visibility and the control of cash flow to enable these guys to make sensible decisions and to be able to look down the road a bit and really kind of be strategic looking at openings? Yeah.
So the way that my business kind of interacts with Modular is that we use Modular as a bank account that resets to zero every time. So what I mean by that is we would upload payments required of, say, £20,000 and fund the Modular bank account with exactly £20,000, and that brings it down to zero. And what that allows as a business is that you have a very clear kind of outgoings situation. With perhaps a traditional bank, you would run into issues where you have £15,000 going out the bank. You can see you've got £5 grand clearing from a deposit that's, grayed out on the NatWest screen or HSBC screen or something like that. You don't actually know how much you've got in it at that moment in time. And this allows also a much better kind of like cash flow planning, is that if we have a payment run every Friday, it's going to be around 15 grand. We can put that money aside, load it into Modular, Modular pays it out. So you don't have any of that kind of confusion or, again, why I love the industry is full of optimists, and the idea that you've
yes.
loaded some backs payments and they're going to go out at 3 p.m. and you're hoping that lunchtime sales are going to be really, really good, so that they just drop in time and then you just go out the door. But typically what we see in those historic examples is that HMRC will take their direct debit first. I don't fully understand how, but they always seem to have take it first. And then your key supplier, your meat supplier or whatever, won't receive their money. They'll then complain and won't send you any steaks for next week.
That's not a good thing, especially if you're a steak restaurant.
Maybe if you're a vegan restaurant, it's fine.
Yeah. And Kuba, on that note, is that we talked about the reason behind the product at the start of the webinar, but that's a real crucial element, isn't it, that you guys are building to match the industry you're serving. It's not just about creating a product to sell. It's about actually fixing the operational needs, or I suppose all strategic needs as well, of these people who are trying to run businesses, but run them in a safe and in a way that's profitable.
100%, Chris, and it's really fantastic to hear some of the stories Andy's mentioning in terms of the things we help address and the flexibility we offer. But when we started the company, our original thesis was, and we knew this from first-hand experience of running other businesses previously, getting payments to work in a way that supports business growth is really hard, and the sheer manual nature of what was available in the market, it continues to be the standard, the de facto standard today in terms of traditional banking solutions, in terms of how payments are offered and how they're delivered to you as a business, is poor, and it hinders and it hampers and it creates issues and challenges and stress, which you can easily remove by approaching the problem a bit differently and thinking about what your customers and your users really need, and that is to make payments deeply part of what they do and how they run the operations in the business, and offering the flexibility to adjust and manage based on the timescales they work to, which is not 9 to 5, 4 days a week with a bank holiday, but it's 24/7. And it does require that attention and that focus, and that's really the mission we've been on, and the products we're building are very much focused on those benefits and gains that we want to be providing to the market.
100%, and I think, as I said before, that actually when tech comes along and it wants to fix a problem, if it's really honed in on the actual issues rather than kind of a think tank type scenario where you think this might be a problem. These are real issues that the owners and operators are facing every day. And if you can fix those challenges quickly, and especially working through third party like accountants who kind of help these guys run their finances, it becomes really positive really quickly. And I was going to ask, actually, you mentioned before about kind of making payments on the go. What are the, I suppose this is pretty obvious, I suppose, but for anyone watching, what is the benefit, I suppose, of immediacy of the payment execution compared to, I suppose, traditional back cycles, the way we kind of, I would say most people already run. I'll start with you, Xander, if that's okay.
So I think this is particularly important for hospitality, where the people who have greatest oversight or are tasked with the ultimate kind of responsibility for the payments are typically either in a restaurant, or if we're looking at an ops director, maybe moving around between restaurants. So much as in finance world, we love the idea that they can go, every restaurant's got a lovely, quiet, air-conditioned office where everyone diligently enters everything into their Excel. That world, sadly, I don't know if it ever existed, but is definitely
we wish.
Not reality. Maybe, yeah, there's some bits that scribbled on paper, but what that means is that you can go through the whole payment process and you're not thwarted by the operational comings and goings of the business. So because it's on a mobile phone, someone can easily do that final sign off very, very quickly and very easily. So you don't have to wait around for aligning kind of suppliers being available and the director being available to sign the payments off.
Very cool. And Kuba?
Yeah, I think that's an important component. The other area which I think is valuable just to talk about briefly is we've built and designed tools for partners such as Williams Stanley to help them work with multiple clients in an easy and controlled way. So if you think about the scenario before Modular, where you as an operator of a chain of restaurants wanted your accounting partner to help you with payment facilitation, you'd have to give them dongles and access to your bank account. Now, that first of all is hard and takes weeks, if not months, and then it works very differently. It's kind of an all you can get kind of service, or alternatively stuck with a backed processing bureau type service where you can't adjust anything after you commit the payment process. What we offer is the tool that tries to offer the best of both worlds, both to the operator and to the accounting practice, where the operator can manage and control the level of access they give to the tools that we provide to the practice, and the practice can then, in a controlled way, execute and manage multiple clients through a single set of tools and interfaces to make sure that they do it in a way that works for them as well. So we're trying to bring the two things together to make sure that we provide an efficient way, controlled way that also helps manage and reduce all of the kind of risks that come with operating and payments.
Yeah, and it's interesting that one of those risks, obviously, with all these kind of things, is security and kind of, I suppose, controlling someone who controls this process. So you guys have a single log-on system. So if you own multiple companies or multiple brands in a restaurant chain, you've got that added layer of efficiency to manage multiple accounts. How do you guys help with that? Because that single login system seems quite crucial. Sorry, start with you.
Dan, I don't know if you want to take that one, perhaps, because I think you guys got more practical examples of customers you work with multiple businesses and that you operate with.
Yeah, sure. So I think that it is beneficial for two key reasons. The first one is that, as we know, hospitality groups are notoriously messy from a legal and entity and brand perspective, because you might operate several different brands that you want the public to perceive as separate, or you might want them to one restaurant group to have multi-sites, or because of deals with landlords, you have an additional company. So there is never a nice, neat umbrella company called like Restaurant Holdings, and that holds everything underneath it. No. You have lots of different ones, or fingers in different pies. And the industry, as we know, is very incestuous, particularly the higher up you go. There's people who work part-time on this company, that company. So what that means is that having it all in one place is unbelievable for us from a time perspective, because it means that we can deliver with all the various ops teams, kind of the payment lists, and get sign off from payroll. But ultimately, when it goes to the directors, who are typically very busy, which we've spoken about, they can see in one place all the businesses that they need to sign off on, and they can do it all in one go. And the second reason why it's really important for us, Chris, you mentioned kind of the importance of cash flow management earlier, and the entrepreneurial spirit that's pervasive within our industry. And that is that people conveniently maybe forget that if two companies are doing payments at one time, that amount of money is going out of the wider group. And if you can see them stacked on top of each other, that company A is paying out 15 grand, company B is paying out 20 grand. You don't have that kind of double think where you're like, oh, this company's spending a lot of money, but it's okay because my other company's doing really well. You can clearly see how much is going out. And again, that Chris, you mentioned the last minute changing nature. Often when they see them stack, that's when we get the call from the director being like, hang on a minute here, restaurant A can't pay anywhere near that much. We thought that was not paying anything this week.
No, it makes real sense. And I think that, again, that kind of efficiency, I don't know if I want to talk about product and tech, being able to cover off every angle. So you're not just thinking about the speed of payment or the efficiency of payments, but actually the user end as well, where actually we benefit from being able to access that really easily. When I say we, I'm talking about my former career. But Kuba, that it's kind of that point again about what you're creating here is about being able to really serve down to the need of the problem and make sure these people are getting access to not access to the money, but access to the payment structure of what they're doing within their business.
Absolutely, and that control factor is so crucial, especially when you're running and operating at the speed that hospitality does with the tight margins you've got, and having the confidence that is being managed, is being controlled. I get to look at what I'm doing and see it in one place, and my accounting partners can help me do that, and we're removing the stress from those interactions, which is stressful. It's stressful enough to run a business, let alone needing to worry about the nuance and the nitty-gritty of the payments process. So anything we can do to help with that is absolutely at the core of what we're trying to build.
No, and look, we've covered a lot of the product. I think it'd be really interesting to hear from you, Xander. Like, we talked about some of the benefits actually from Williams Stanley point of view, but I suppose for any other accountants who are watching in and listening to you talk about some of the pain you're saving, how quickly are you seeing these benefits once you're plugging into Modular and using them for the payment cycle?
We see it instantly. So that's why we from rather than advising it, now when we're signing new clients, we have that as part of the onboarding process that they set up with Modular, and that we do it through Modular, just because of the ease that it provides us. And actually at Williams Stanley, we cover the cost of the Modular. We don't charge that on, because it is so integral to how we operate.
Wow, that's brilliant. Yeah, Kuba, music to your ears there. But yeah,
now Kuba puts out the fees. That probably was not a good admission, but it's true.
But no, it's great to hear, right, Kuba? And I think that shows that actually the journey you're on in terms of what you're building and who you're trying to serve is actually coming to fruition.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's fantastic to hear that from Xander and the team, and it really motivates our guys here, and wanting us to invest more time and effort into adding more. And the thing we would emphasize is we're constantly building, so we still think of ourselves as just getting started in the context of this market, and there's plenty of things we want to be adding to the product, whether that's more integrations or more functionality, which we're constantly working on. It's an evolving proposition that we want to be taking to the market.
Well, you've just stolen my final question there, because I was going to ask you, what does the future look like? But no, what is in the pipeline? Is there anything you can talk about aside from what you're doing right now, or what's coming up?
Definitely more integrations. We'll be talking about a new one very soon, which we'll be chatting about in the next few weeks. I can't talk about it yet. I want to steal the guy's thunder. And we're planning to release new integrations every quarter. So we're working quite intensively on building a whole program, extending the ecosystem we've got already. So something we're very actively investing in. We're enhancing the look and feel of the platform. So there'll be a new version of it coming out later this year. And we're also intending on expanding the tool set and the functionality we're offered to accounting practices. So something we're spending some time on investigating now and adding additional capabilities, which we're very happy to talk to the listeners as part of our future conversations or some of the forums we're starting to set up as well as in specific industries.
Perfect, thank you. And the same for you, Xander. I've been talking to Williams Stanley on and off for a year, actually, just about various different things through, I think, shared clients. What does the future look like for you guys? I feel like you're growing and growing.
Yeah, we've had an incredible kind of 12 months, really, where we've doubled in size, which has been really exciting for us because we haven't done much marketing that's kind of been word of mouth, and as I mentioned, benefiting from the kind of incestuous nature of our industry, which is fantastic. Yes. So people moving and then bringing us in, and then we're managing to stay on with our other clients. I think at the moment, you mentioned about kind of the Northwest expansion. We're seeing lots of really positive kind of openings there. But yeah, it's really helping our clients kind of through the next 12 months as the energy prices kind of drop and get some more cash flow in and continue their expansion. So yeah, it's going to be a busy 12 months for sure.
And I'll move on to some questions if we have any. I know I've got one already, which I was asked even before we came on today. So I was talking to someone at an event this morning about you guys, and they asked me, because they're a single site, is it viable to do this? They were asking me, or do they have to be a larger company? Either can take that in terms of working with you guys, or can they handle it themselves just as a single site payments?
Go ahead, yeah, go ahead.
So I would say that as a single site, it's probably manageable in terms of the payments that they're doing, but payroll is likely to be quite fiddly, and we kind of covered across the nuances of that earlier. I would also kind of look at what their plans are in terms of where do they want to be spending their time. We keep coming back to that entrepreneurial kind of spirit. Yeah. Typically, the directors that I work with don't want to be coding in and loading payments to meat suppliers and drinks suppliers. So they can very efficiently outsource it to us, very reasonably, and then focus on what they want to be doing with the security that it's going to be accurate, it's going to be on a timely basis and very easy for them to interact with. So I'd say, yeah, particularly if they looked at it in terms of the number of payrolls that they're doing, that for me would be the deciding factor. If they don't have many employees, perhaps one site would be quite small. If they do, that would definitely make a big difference to their admin and their stress.
Thank you. That's really helpful. I've got another question here from Becky from LinkedIn. She likes the flexibility you get with the payments going through so quickly, but is it as safe as doing bank transfers? Are there security risks? Kuba, do you want to take that one up?
Yeah, very happy to. So I think it's important to emphasize Modular is fully regulated by the FCA. We're regulated under the regulation known as e-money institutions, which effectively places us on the specific obligations in terms of what we need to do to be able to provide payment services. We have effectively the same permissions as a bank does in context of the UK market to provide payment services. Hence, we have direct access at the Bank of England, including our settlement accounts. So yes, regulation, security, managing client assets is very important to us, and it's at the core of what we do. So just wanted to emphasize that we're not just a tech business, we're very much an integrated financial and technology service, and we're trusted today by thousands of businesses to do that on their behalf, both for supplier payments, payroll activity, or core business payment operations. So very much a critical part of what we do and how we operate.
Perfect. And I have another question. We have a question here, actually talking about onboarding. So if they do decide to come and work with you guys, what does the onboarding process look like?
It does vary by business. We do have digital onboarding, and you can go and sign up as a business directly. And to add to the previous question in terms of whether it's useful for a single site operation, absolutely. We have customers of all scale and size within our portfolio. Our digital business payments product packages start at just shy of £17 a month. So our guys often talk about it as the price of 2 McDonald's meals. For that price, you can get.
Says more about them says more about them.
I think it does talk more to where they currently lunch rather than any other specific context. But so yes, it's available for all sizes of operations. It is built to be digital first. The onboarding process just depends on the complexity of the business we're bringing on board. It's designed to be digital. It's designed to be completed in a day. But as a regulated institution, we are obliged to check who we do business with. So those timeframes can vary.
Perfect. I mean, and I've got one more question for you. Sorry, guys. What would be some initial advice, I suppose, for someone looking? I think you covered it a little bit there, but advice for a business looking to get into automating payments. So maybe they're in that manual space, like my friend with the single site. What, I suppose, any initial advice about that journey, or is it just get on with it? Xander, do you want to take that one?
Do you want to take that one? My advice is that it is so unbelievably stressful to be coding in manual payments, and particularly if you're doing it on a phone. I think that if they're almost my advice to them would be that at their next payment run, are they dreading doing these payments? Is it the last thing that they're doing? Are they doing it late at night? Almost certainly all of these things are going to be the case. Then I would kind of almost question, there's no need to do that anymore. Like that doesn't have to be the part of being a business owner, no matter how small your business. You don't have to be that last person there who's keying in these payrolls, manually. It's just horrible and stressful. And as you mentioned, it's not expensive to not need to do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, surely there's an example here or somewhere of someone, the ROI on this, where actually doing it late at night, doing it on the run, doing it not being fully prepared will lead to some errors and potentially very expensive ones. So actually the cost is almost neutral, right? Just to make sure that safety is done, Kuba, that was why you built it, right?
Absolutely. And it's definitely core to what we want to enable operators, businesses to be able to access.
Perfect. Well, I think we might have been done with our questions. Nihil says here, Chris, thanks for sharing the room. Really helpful. He will be in touch soon, which is great news. And we've got a little QR code, I think, to share somewhere, which will give us some access to you guys. So you can come in. There we go. So you can sign up and claim 2 months free today. I feel like I'm working for Modular. So you can come along. You just scan that QR code. We will share this out afterwards, guys, across the database. If you're watching from LinkedIn, anyone who's in the Tech on Toast database will get this webinar as well, and we'll also share through our channels. So that's great. I'll just take that one back off. Thank you. And look, if people do want to get in touch, just maybe with you guys separately, just have a chat about their opportunity. Kuba, how can we get hold of you directly?
Find me on LinkedIn. Find us on LinkedIn via Modular as well. Do pick up the QR code to fill in a couple questions and speak to our team. So those are the best ways to reach us.
Perfect. And same for you, Xander. If someone is listening to Williams Stanley thinking, I need to come and get my free bit of Kuba involved in my deal, then how do they get hold of you?
Exactly. Feel free to message me personally on LinkedIn, or I think we've got a nice little banner at the bottom with our website. WilliamsStanley.co, I think. Is that right? Yeah. Just drop my emails on there. So drop me an email if you want, and then we'll come back to you and have a chat.
Perfect. Look, thanks, gents. We are in the middle of a thunderstorm here in Manchester. I don't know how the weather is where you are, but apologies if we've had any weirdness with the network. But really good to see you all. For any more information, you can find this webinar on the Tech on Toast website next week, and we'll share it through the database. But thanks for joining us on LinkedIn today. And thank you to my two guests, Kuba and Xander.